part of this module, we're going to go through some healthy habits that are necessary for your personality needs. So you can think of it like this. Your personality needs are like buckets that are waiting to be filled. And all day long, whether you are consciously aware of it or not, your brain, your subconscious mind, is constantly seeking out strategies and ways to get these buckets filled. And so when we're doing this unintentionally or unconsciously, it's a lot harder to fill these buckets. And B, our brain isn't able to focus as much on whatever tasks are at hand if they're out of alignment with our personality needs, because your subconscious mind isn't really interested in focusing until the buckets are filled. So the depth of your bucket, okay, aka your personality need, is related to how deep the programmed lack was at some point along the line of your life. So for example, if you have your highest personality need is an emotional connection need, there was probably a really strong lack of emotional connection at some point in childhood. Or, that would be very different, let's say, from somebody who has a lower need around emotional connection, because maybe that need sort of surfaced through the repetitive lack in their adult lives, maybe after a bad breakup or after they moved and had to sort of restart their lives and their emotional connections again. So because of emotion plus repetition, which is how the subconscious is programmed, the earlier programs in life generally carry more weight. Now, if you pay close attention, your needs are also deeply impacting your emotional state, as we discussed earlier in this course, and also your ability to succeed at life, because they impact your presence, your focus, how you retain things in your memory, and so many other aspects of you as a whole. Another way of looking at this is if you have a high need for freedom and somebody else has a high need for security, something like moving would impact these two different individuals very differently. Actually, my sister and I are sort of like this. I tend to have a higher need around freedom for my personality needs, and she has a very high need for security. And for myself, I've moved fairly often throughout the course of my life, and I almost enjoy it. It doesn't bother me at all. And for my sister, she will do anything not to move. She will stay for as long as she can and anywhere. And moving to her feels like a very stressful, painful experience. So, think of it this way. When our needs are not met, we experience pain and we have difficulty focusing and we feel sort of challenged all around. So just like in that example of my sister and I, when she moves, when she's ended up having to move at different times, she has a really hard time focusing on work, focusing on her relationships. Everything sort of falls by the wayside because this is a really challenging time for her. Versus for myself, when I move, I can still be showing up at work and be fully present and fully focused because I don't have a really strong personality need for security that's always pulling me backwards, and my subconscious isn't trying to continuously redirect my focus back towards gaining security because I feel like there's a void or a lack being ignited again. So when our needs are actively addressed, so we have that information, now we want to look at what can we do with this. Well, when our needs are actively addressed, it's like these buckets are being filled, and we tend to have more room and more patience to focus on other things. So let's say, for example, that myself, I have a really high need for personal growth. If I'm not getting a chance to do self-reflection or introspective work or grow in some area, attend seminars or courses or learn in some area, I do notice as a general rule that I tend to become slightly more impatient if that personality need is not being met. I become slightly more impatient in traffic or waiting in line or doing different things that are a challenge or not supporting that personality need because my subconscious mind is like, hey, come on, hurry up, get back to personal growth. We're waiting for you. Come on, let's get this bucket filled. And so this will sort of spill into our daily lives. And so when we are intentionally creating habits to fill our buckets of needs, this is one of the most powerful things we can do. And so whether we notice it or not, we are always meeting our personality needs directly or indirectly, or in other words, consciously or subconsciously. So when we are consciously meeting our needs, we're basically thinking of the best version of meeting that need that would bring you into contact with it most directly and most fully. When we're subconsciously meeting the need or unconsciously meeting the need, it's really just your subconscious associations for what sort of works to get the need met. So you can think of it like this. When we don't have conscious and intentional strategies for meeting our personality needs in the best way possible, It's as if like we are trying to fill the bucket by turning on the faucet just a tiny bit, very indirectly, and all the drops are sort of filling up the bucket slowly over time. It's going to take a really long time to fill up the bucket. We're not going to feel like the bucket's fulfilled until the very end because it's taking all this time to sort of slowly pile up or come in. Versus if we open the faucet all the way and the water just sort of pours out into the bucket and we fill that bucket so quickly and so fully and so effectively and directly, we're going to feel a lot more fulfilled. And you can think of that analogy as a difference between if we are intentionally meeting the need, it's like we're opening the faucet all the way. And if we're unintentionally meeting the need, it's through whatever subconscious strategies or files we have in our subconscious that are like, hey, this kind of works, and it's not going to be the same amount of fulfillment or rewardingness. It won't be as rewarding to do it that way. So I'll give you a few examples of this. Let's say that you have this really high need for emotional connection again. If you go directly to the source, if you go and you sit down with, very close friends and you have some deep conversations and you really emotionally connect, versus if you try to get the need met through watching a whole bunch of reality television and trying to feel emotionally connected to the characters and their stories, one way is not really going to fulfill you. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, and in the end, you're probably only going to get a few drops in your bucket and not feel truly fulfilled. But if you go, to the friends and you have, these deep conversations, it's going to be like opening the faucet all the way. And what you'll naturally notice is after doing this, you have a lot more energy, you feel a lot more focused, you feel invigorated, you feel alive, you feel more present in your life. And all of this starts to happen when we are directly meeting our personality needs in the most effective ways possible. Another example of this could be comfort. And we were sort of discussing this earlier. A lot of individuals do have a personality need around comfort. Maybe not at the very top, but usually somewhere is quite common for individuals. And, if we don't have the best, most direct version of going exactly to the source to get our needs for comfort met, or if we try to ignore or repress our needs or we judge them, then our brain is left to find whatever strategies it can to try to get comfort met instead. So going directly to the source might be something like sitting down, wrapping yourself in blankets and cozy PJs and your favorite socks and having a warm tea and just taking the time to not do anything for half an hour and just reflect or journal or just be, really. Just take all the pressure off of yourself for a little bit. And you'll see that this is really recharging for individuals who have a personality need around comfort because that bucket's getting really filled up. But what I see instead is for individuals who try to reject or deny that need within themselves, often we see them resorting to food. So people go eat comfort food. They'll eat a whole bunch of, cinnamon rolls or mashed potatoes or things. And it's because the brain's earliest subconscious associations to food were your mother's breast milk. And there's lots of oxytocin and there's lots of feeling comforted and secure and safe. And so your brain will just go into its filing cabinet and pull out whatever previous associations or programs exist and just try to, get its needs met through those. And oftentimes those are really outdated and often even unhealthy strategies. So not only are they not filling our bucket, but usually they come with some downsides or drawbacks. One last example I'll give to you is sometimes two individuals with really high personality needs around emotional connection, when they're not feeling emotionally connected because they've had a busy week or, lots of stuff is going on with the kids. Sometimes I'll see these two individuals bicker with one another and pick fights at each other. And, because we're not going directly to the source and saying, hey, our buckets are not filled, we're feeling a void of emotional connection. Can we sit down together? Can we have deep conversations? Can we, catch back up and fill the buckets of emotional connection again? Sometimes what I'll see instead is that, because these individuals are bickering and picking fights, it's like their subconscious mind is going, well, we just want to get our need met in the fastest way possible. And so when we pick a fight, at least both parties are emotionally engaged and our emotions are high, so we're connecting in some way. And again, your subconscious is just interested in getting whatever forms of the need met it can in whatever ways possible. And it's most interested in the fastest way of getting the need met instead of the most effective way of getting the need met. So when we are subconsciously meeting our needs, usually it's not working super effectively. When we are consciously aware of our personality needs and then developing healthy habits and intentional strategies to get these needs met, it works very well. We feel more fulfilled. And honestly, you will see your entire life transform when you start working with yourself and with those personality needs instead of trying to ignore, deny, or repress or work against them. And we discussed as well about how to link your conscious goals to your subconscious needs to remove procrastination and self-sabotage. But we still want to have really healthy habits on a regular basis to fill up our buckets. So here's what we're going to do. In this exercise, I want you to just sit down and get really clear about what your personality needs are. And you should have done this already from the previous modules. And I want you to come up with some really conscious and intentional strategies that you can schedule into your day to get these needs met ahead of time. And here's why this is really important. So your brain doesn't focus well without your needs being met. And I'll give you another couple examples before we get into how to actually structure your healthy habits on a daily basis in order to intentionally and consciously fill your buckets of your needs. So as I was writing this course the other day, I noticed myself, and I had been sort of in this long work week where I've been working almost every day for quite some time. And sort of as we're pushing to get the personal development school launched and pushing to get this content out. And I noticed myself as I was writing this course, I hadn't been connecting emotionally as much as I usually do to other people. And I noticed my brain kept wanting to watch specifically interviews of people online talking about personal growth things. And I kept writing the course, and then, clicking on YouTube and trying to watch, some kind of interview between, Gabor Mate or Marianne Williamson, or my brain kept trying to redirect me to my bucket of my emotional connection need being met, and a little bit of like personal growth and learning needs that are in there as well. And so we have this idea that, when we're procrastinating and we're doing other things other than what the task at hand is that we're consciously intending to take care of, we think it's random, or we think that we're just procrastinators, or we're just sabotaging things, and it's not the case. These are essential pieces of feedback that are literally there to let you know that you have buckets that are not filled, and your brain keeps trying to redirect you to basically pull you back to seeing that bucket. So you have a couple ways of working through this. One way is to actually pause and stop what you're doing and to really go directly to the source and get the need met as effectively as possible for a given period of time. So your brain feels like there's been some energy or some water filled up in that bucket, and it can then go back to focusing again on your conscious and intentional task. Or way more effective than this is to have daily habits and rituals set in on a regular basis so that your life is structured around getting your needs met ahead of time. Now, of course, we're all going to have times where, something's going on in our children's lives or in our loved one's life, or we're starting a new business, or there's going to be times where some of these things have to, be tapered back a little bit for given periods of time, and that's completely okay. But the more we can be conscious and intentional, the more effective and the more fulfilled we'll feel on a regular basis, and then our brain won't be constantly trying to distract us from the task at hand to redirect us back to filling up the bucket or buckets that we feel are not fulfilled subconsciously. So you can really choose which way you want to structure your life, but the more you have intentional and effective strategies to get your personality needs met as directly and as effectively as possible built into your day, the smoother your life will generally go. Now, you can also set your in terms of your healthy habits, you can also set your personality needs up to be linked to the ones that you share with your partner, and you can come up with like shared activities, because again, usually there's at least one or two. And the most effective way of doing this is to start your morning this way. So for example, let's say you and your partner both share a personality need around personal growth. Or achievement. You might start your day and, for the first half hour of your day, talk about your goals, your intentions for the day, how you want to show up, what you want your emotional state to be like, and you can sort of organize everything that way. But you want to make sure that you have these things ahead of time structured in, whether they're in your own time alone or whether they're with somebody else that you love and care about. And the reason for this is that will allow your brain to feel like its buckets are filled and it can go on focusing and being most present in its environment for the rest of the day. So again, when you start your day with them, you'll see your attention stay more focused, you'll see your mood increase, and you'll see just the rest of your day go better. And how you spend your days is how you spend your life, right? So if each day you have these healthy habits structured in, that has a massive impact over the course of a lifetime. So we also want to make sure that as we're structuring these habits, that we are practicing meeting our needs ourselves through creating these healthy habits and through being conscious and intentional and checking in with our needs. And we also want to make sure that we're asking for our needs to be met from others. So you can ask people that you care about, hey, can we do a personal growth course together? Can we connect emotionally using the 40 questions of self-reflection and connection that Thais has out on the website, or whatever it is for you. You can ask for these things from the people that you're close to. Okay, so here's how you're going to break everything down. You can think of it like this. Your habits and your rituals literally make or break your life. They create a massive impact one way or another. And as I was saying earlier, it's sort of like how you spend your days is how you spend your life. So by intentionally filling the buckets ahead of time, it's a great idea to have a healthy habit structure in the morning or a healthy habit structure in the evening, or both is what I truly recommend. So if you check in your workbook right now, you'll see that there's a structure of suggestions available to you. And in the structure of suggestions, you'll see all these suggestions for habits nicely laid out. And I want you to take those suggestions and I want you to integrate your personality needs into there. So for example, if you have a need around achievement and you're doing some kind of goal setting in the morning or some kind of intention setting for the day, you might put in, what do I want to achieve today? How do I want to show up today that's more effective than yesterday? Or what tasks are on my itinerary for today that I really want to knock off my plate? You want to get your personality needs put in there. If you have a really high need for emotional connection, maybe you intend in the morning to have a coffee with your partner and set those intentions for the day there. If you have a really high need for wealth building or saving money, you might want to start by budgeting your day in advance, checking your investment portfolio. It's sort of in a routine. So you've got a system in place that's intentionally getting you connected and getting those buckets filled for your personality needs. If it's something around spirituality, maybe you start and you journal in the morning or you meditate in the morning. And again, you're just inserting your personality need habits into those morning rituals that are suggested in your workbook. Last but not least, another really clear example is if it's a health need. Maybe you start your day by working out and taking some really good supplements and just having a morning smoothie that's really healthy and makes you feel like you're starting your day on the right foot. We want to start our day right because it carries into everything else. And we want to end our day right. And the morning and the evening, how we start our day, how we end our day, these are often also the times that we are most suggestible. So our subconscious mind is basically most available to be programmed, to be communicated to or with by our conscious mind. So when we're showing up for our subconscious, we're showing up for our subconscious personality needs in those time periods, it's even more fulfilling as a general rule. So in your workbook, define your personality needs, create some rituals and strategies you can pull from the list of suggestions. And again, make sure you focus on which ways get your personality needs met best and most directly. And then schedule the time to commit to doing this. And what you're doing as well is by intentionally and consciously meeting your personality needs, you are allowing your subconscious mind to not have to go into hyper overdrive all day long to try to create whatever strategies it can pull out of and whatever associations have previously been programmed and exist as ways of getting those needs met. So, by intentionally connecting with your partner emotionally over coffee in the morning when you have a high need for emotional connection, you'll probably save yourself a lot of picking fights or, bickering in order to get that need met for emotional connection. Or if you have a high need for comfort and you're taking time to have a really cozy morning and warm yourself up in the morning and have comfortable socks and clothes and a nice tea, and by doing that you're actually less likely to eat comfort food that's not necessarily good for you throughout the course of the day. And it might sound like, oh, that can't be a correlation, but I'm telling you, I've seen hundreds of clients tell me things like this, where, oh my gosh, I started actually taking care of feeling comfortable and I stopped eating comfort food. I forgot about eating comfort food. So all these things have a major impact because, again, all actions that you are taking through the day are a subconscious strategy to get specific needs met. So Do this work. Involve yourself in your healthy habits, create intentional strategies. This is a beautiful way of also self-caring and showing up for yourself and your needs. And remember to communicate these things to your partner. Ask for your needs to be met. Do the work and be aware of your partners as well. And anytime you're trying to set and achieve goals, make sure that you're linking your conscious intentions to your subconscious personality needs so you can be really clear and really congruent with everything that you're taking action towards. Thank you so much for watching this course. I'm really excited to see you in the live webinars, and I'm really excited to hear your questions in the Personal Development School community, as well as to connect with you in all future courses. Thank you for watching.